What do you need to make sure that you're going to be successful on a given game day?
Yeah, so I like the Adam Wainwright had this funny quote. He's obviously been in the bigs forever, and so but it's interesting because he's been a starter the whole time. He's like, all I need is 6 pitches,
wow,
or 12 pitches, or whatever it is. He said that everything that he has is a want, and then he needs to just throw the ball. And so like that's crazy coming from somebody who's been doing it for so long and so successful, which I really liked because there's all these things that you can do to get ready and to feel 100%, but you're not going to feel 100% more than 20% of the time that you're out there.
Right.
So it's finding the way to be as successful when you feel 100% as you do when you feel 90, 80, 70%. So,
yeah, I think that's awesome too, especially when you're working out of the bullpen, right? Because we talked about this earlier, but starters they know exactly when they're going. They know exactly, at this time I am going to be on the mound throwing my first pitch. I know that. No such luck as a reliever, right? There's a million different situations. How do you stay ready, I guess? Because I think, just from my experiences, one of the hardest adjustments that young pitchers in college have to make is when they are moved to that bullpen. And it happens to almost all of them. Very rarely do guys go into college and they're a starter for 4 years, right? You were probably in the bullpen at some point. And they've never had to prepare that way, right? So what do you think was, how did you do it? How did you stay ready? How do you stay ready? How did you make that adjustment going from a guy who was a starting pitcher in high school to now I'm out in the bullpen?
Yeah, I think what actually really helped me was I never treated myself as just a pitcher in high school. So like I would pitch for 6 innings and then my coach would send me a shortstop.
Right.
And then obviously not good for your arm, not great for and I would also long toss every day. Like
right.
I didn't know all the I just threw and I liked throwing. So I think that helped build my arm strength. So I was ready to do almost anything in college. And then when I got to college, we kind of had a structure where it was I could throw as much as I wanted, and I liked throwing. And so as long as I was not pulling down every day, which is I had a habit of doing, so may have helped the velo, but probably wouldn't have helped my elbow if I kept doing it.
Right.
But just having that structure in the mentality of I can throw when I want to throw. And so if I'm a little bit sore, I know my body enough to be able to, I can air it out a little bit today, not super high intent, but I'm going to stretch it out and be ready to go if I need to go high intent. So it's just knowing your body and knowing where you need to be before you throw.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in a day and age now where training's so specialized and we have so much technology and so many different resources. And one thing that you keep touching on is you like to throw a lot and throwing a lot. And in the past, I feel like maybe that was kind of thought of crazy. You needed an off season. You needed to take time off. You needed to rest. Why is it important for you to keep your arm moving every day and be able to throw so much? You mentioned earlier that you take 2 to 3 weeks off a year maybe, and that's it. Why is that important for you to keep your arm going and always be throwing?
Well, I mean, it started off that I got bored when I didn't throw when I was in high school, so I just would come here and I would throw. I knew I had to take. Danny would get on me about taking a couple weeks off a year, and then I would want to start getting ready for the season, so I'd come and start throwing again. And then as I got figured out that baseball could have a path for me, so I got more into it, and I looked at Liam Hendricks, and so he was struggling in the minor leagues, bouncing up and down, and then all of a sudden he just had this breakout year where he had a .9 ERA and it was everything. And he said the biggest change for him was he didn't stop throwing. He went from his season ending to the Australian season starting, and so he just went back to his old team and he would just go out there and he would just play catch every day. And then he rolled into spring training and his arm felt the best it ever felt. And then that just carried on. And so he said his arm just kept getting stronger the more he threw. And it's the same thing with Bauer. Like Bauer's always been about throwing the entire year. And it doesn't have to be high-intensity throwing and stuff like that. Obviously, you need to let your tendons rest and things like that. But it's just the range of motion and keep moving and keep that feeling and that pattern. I think that's big.